Hey everyone. Okay, so yeah, the first thing to talk about is the reveal that the assassin being York, the satellite clone representing Vegapunk's greed, which right out of the gate, I have to once again compliment Oda's ability of subversion, because just from the way his satellites are titled, just from the titles of his satellites and how they're labeled, you'd really expect Lilith to be the one to betray Vegapunk as she's labeled evil, but because Oda has treated the idea of evil in the world of One Piece as a very nebulous term, it actually does make more sense that York is the one to betray Vegapunk, because while all the vices that are tied to human nature and the human condition are all in their own ways evil and dangerous, greed among them all could be considered the most evil of them, because just the temptation of something beyond your reach, or something you just want so desperately, is enough for you to do, is enough to motivate you to do terrible, horrible things just for the chance to grab a hold of that desired thing. And yeah, obviously we know the promise made between York and the government about becoming a celestial dragon is complete and utter bullshit, but again, because York is representative of Vegapunk's greed, the temptation, it was just there. It was just too much in order for her to overcome. The idea of her becoming a celestial dragon, it was just the perfect, thing in order to motivate her in order to betray Vegapunk. And even more so than that, I gotta say, and I gotta honestly credit where it's due to the world government. They played that pretty spectacularly. I'm just gonna say it. Like the thing with the world, obviously the world government knew, they knew all this. They knew York couldn't become a celestial dragon. I think celestial dragon, when you get down to it, is only available to anything like that is only tied to those of noble blood, and really only those who were of the original lineage that started the world government. But they still played it perfectly as they knew how to take advantage of pretty much York's greed. And so I guess credit where it's due in that one. It really did play York fell for that one hook, line, and sinker, and now that York is about to kill Vegapunk, I think they're about to kill. It's a whole kill two birds with one stone thing now. York was never going to make it out of this thing alive. That's kind of the big thing we need to know, is York was just never going to make it out of this alive. But now, well, yeah, you get the big picture here. York is gonna die with the rest of them is gonna die with the rest of them, and she's falling straight into that trap. Now, with that said, let's talk about the narration of this chapter, because while not word for word the same, as well as the circumstances and events themselves having completely different context, like Jay Garcia personally coming to Egghead along with Kizaru, a lot of the narration in this chapter harkens back to basically the battle between Ace and Blackbeard, and how that became the start of the Marineford War arc. As within certain sections of the narration in this chapter, stuff like the arrival of Luffy was an unexpected variable that left the government feeling unsettled, or the big one of saying the resolution of the events that transpired would inflict a shock the world never saw coming. Stuff like that. It really makes you say Oda's prepping for another big Marineford War type event. But the million-dollar question I have is, will this be set up for a literal Marine HQ type of war with Straw Hats and possibly their allies fighting the Marines and government, or is it more set up that's adding to another layer onto the Throne Wars that's building up? That's the question that I'm kind of inclined to, that's the kind of question where I'm inclined to believe the latter case, because however big the consequences of this Arc's aftermath is, I have noticed a very clear pattern right so far with a lot of these like post-Wano chapters, where Oda's been avoiding from jumping into any major conflict. I mean, we do have all these smaller isolated incidents going on, and there is the whole Shanks situation with Kid and whatnot. But again, I feel that'll be much more scale than we think once Luffy arrives. And like the thing is, I think Oda's even said himself that everything we see is going to build up to the Throne Wars. So I think we're going to. So if we are going to get that big second coming of the Marineford War, I think it's still likely to somehow fit into the framework of the overall Throne Wars themselves, possibly as a sort of prelude event. Like it's like if the Straw Hats and the Straw Hats, their allies, come into conflict with the Marines at this point and the government, I think it will only just be like a prelude that leads into a much bigger conflict, if anything else. That's kind of how I viewed it right now. I don't know for sure if that's actually the case, but it feels like the most likely. That's, again, just my take, but yeah. Okay. Getting back to York, though, now, yeah, the end of the chapter pretty much sets out the possibility of Vegapunk dying. But the thing is, we've been through this scenario so many before of a character dying that I'm not sure how much I believe. Like, don't get me wrong. The fact that Shaka got headshot definitely shows bodies will be dropping. But I think Vegapunk himself is going to die? No, not really. This is the usual setup we see where Luffy or someone else does come in with a rescue, and he's gonna survive. And I'm betting my bottom dollar that someone else who is gonna rescue Vegapunk now is gonna be Bonnie. Like whatever she learned about Kuma's past in this chapter off panel, I think has finally made her see reason that Vegapunk isn't wholly to blame for what happened to her father, and that it's part of a larger burden. It's part of a larger burden that Kuma chose to carry the weight of himself. So I think that will be the motivation she needs to save him. That is to say, assuming Bonnie can even get to him in time. Because, again, at the rate things are going with Luffy, I doubt he's going to make it in time to save Vegapunk. So if Vegapunk is going to survive, it has to be Bonnie at this point. The question that does still have me a little bit scared, though, is how much longer do we have before a hellfire of battleship cannons starts raining down upon us? Yeah, it's feeling more and more like we need to get out of here real quick, because if we can't get out of here in time, then it's not going to matter whether we save Vegapunk or not. Like, it's this whole thing is just turned. I like how when thinking about it, this whole thing has just turned into an absolute mess, and in only the ways that One Piece can, and I kind of love it. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just have it around, guys. Dark Knight, signing off. Later, everyone.